Good morning. How we doing, guys? This is going to be our last all Zoom call. The first sales meeting after the 4th of July is going to be live back in the office. I'm excited about that. We've started, any of you that are in mastermind groups knows, we started over the last week and a half live mastermind groups. We are planning new agent parties, and we got some dates for those. Those will all be coming out this week to those agents. We're about that don't know that are new. We usually do those every 6 months. We've not done one for a long time because we had one planned in March. We had to cancel. So, guys, we're stoked. Good. I hope you guys are continuing to kill it. We're going to do a couple quick videos, and then we're going to dive into to the sales meeting. I'm going to have Sarah talking about some of the Debbie to Grow takeaways. Debbie was on did a webinar for us again last week. Heather's going to jump on here, and we're going to talk about a number of things that we've talked about with all of you in mastermind groups that's going on out there. So hopefully you can take some good notes, and this will help you be more productive as you move forward. So Maggie, hit our video.
A.D. Williams once said, "Imagine what 7 billion humans could accomplish if we loved and respected one another." Just imagine. Imagine if there was no greed. Imagine if there was no comparison. If everyone was running their own race, but cheering for all others at the same time. Maybe we'll never see that in our lifetime. But what we all can do is start with ourselves. Start with yourself. Choose to lift others up. Choose to set the example of kindness and integrity, the example of compassion and understanding. There's a quote that says, "No matter how educated, talented, rich, or cool you believe you are, how you treat people ultimately tells all." Integrity is everything. It really is. Who you are is far more important than what you have, and it will always be. Who you are is measured by how you make others feel. Be kind to each other. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Choose to be the change you wish to see in the world. Decide you will not wait for someone else. You will set the example. Kind. Because you never know how much that person is suffering inside. You never know the difference your words can make, the difference your presence can make, the difference you can make to one human life. Be the reason someone believes in the goodness of humanity. Be the reason someone else decides to make a difference in others. Be the influence you want to see more of. Always do what is right, not what is easy in the moment. Kindness spreads like a virus. When you do good to another, that person does better to those they come in contact with. You really can make a big difference in the world today and every other day. Anne Frank said, "In the long run, the sharpest weapon of all is a kind and gentle spirit." No one has ever made themselves great by showing how small another is. Be kind and always build others up to the best of your ability. Treat everyone with the same level of kindness that you would like for yourself. Not because everyone is nice, but because you are. Because karma makes no mistakes. Because it is right. Because you have integrity. Because you want this world to be better when you leave than when you arrive.
All right. We didn't tell that in advance, so we were going off the Wi-Fi. We had to tell Shannon to get off her computer and everything, so Wi-Fi was going crazy. So I apologize for that, guys. Really quick quote. One talk about one other thing, then we're going to start diving into what we got here. But the Dalai Lama says, "Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible. Be kind whenever possible. It is always possible." And I think that's a moment, at this moment in life, we really need to think about that, and we need to take deep breaths, and we need to have a sense of kindness. I did a Facebook Live this week on being respectful to each other, and that we need to bring us together as organizations, communities in the country. So I hope that we all stay healthy and safe with the coronavirus, and I hope that we continue to heal in the light of everything else that's been going on in our country here. Guys, I think I've had so many speeches I'm doing about one a week around the country, and I can't remember who I'm saying what to, so I apologize if I'm repeating myself on a couple of different things. But I talked about a study that Seth Madison did, and I know about a month ago it talks about belonging being, out of 56 traits, the most important trait that humans value. And this study has researched over 500,000 people in going through these traits. And then he also says there's a thing called the togetherness cluster, which are the most important traits, which is community, relationships, connection, and belonging. And we did what I thought was a really cool event. And any of those of you who love cars, I would recommend that you come out for our second event in July. The second Saturday of each month, we started here in June. We're doing Supercar Saturday, and we're gonna do a quick little 1-minute video to show you. But as I went through and counted this week, the cars between our lot, Ted Grace's lot across the street, the Core Bank lot, we were 4 or 5 blocks long getting into our lot at 8:30 in the morning. We think we had about 600-700 cars there. Now, I think most of those are single people, but that's a lot of people to come and show, look at the car show. And so all of those that you helped, Jamal, really helped focus put this together. Thank you for your support on this. But let's do a quick little 1-minute video. This has been downloaded, so this should not be going in and out for you guys. So, and then we're going to dive into this. So bear with me. Thank you. Maggie's new at this. She's just the tech person. Give her a chance here.
No pressure.
All right, we're doing it. Got it? All right, guys, now sales meeting. But please, if there was classics there was Ferraris, Lambos. We're hoping to even get maybe a couple $1 million+ cars at the next show that we'll rope off from some people that we know. So come out the second Saturday of July. I want to dive into what's going on in the marketplace. I already told you guys last month, 1,475 new pending transactions, and that's with about 100 transactions that fell through. This month, we're already over 900+ transactions. We believe we're on pace to hit over 1,400 transactions again, which will be our first or second best month in history. It is absolutely unbelievable to me, the number of deals and transactions that you guys are doing. I believe that, again, as we talk to you guys as agents on a daily basis, that is primarily being driven by low inventory, but more importantly than that, the crazy low interest rates that we have in the marketplace. Prosperity gave me yesterday's interest rates on a 30-year fix. Again, historic lows, and you've got to be calling all of your people and talking about the buying power that they have, talking about the equity they built up under $300,000 that they bought over the last 4 or 5 years. A 30-year fixed conventional, no points, is under 3% at 2.875%. A 15-year fixed with no points is 2.375%. VA and FHA are both at 2.625. And even jumbo rates, as I hear people complain about those jumbo rates, Prosperity is telling us is no points, 3.25%. So guys, continue to get out there and work. But the bottom line is we have to figure out a way to get more listings. And we've talked about this. We continue to see, and let's get Heather and Sarah's like talk about this. We continue to see listings seems to be the big problem here. Coronavirus is took a low inventory and quite honestly even made it worse than it has been before. We continue to see new construction as the big winner there. You guys have heard me like a broken record saying, please, 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 I beg you, and in mastermind groups, we've talked about this, please, even if you got someone saying, I do not want new construction, especially if they're under 300,000, go register them at Celebrity the most, but all of the builders that are volume builders out there. I drove by the other day, Terry Krasny's got a new project out there in Village Point. She's calling it Omaha Easy Living. And I think Todd Bartusik told me in the mastermind group last week, he sold one of the first townhome ranches that started at 240-ish, 237. She's got a 3-bedroom, 2-story coming at 215. So we are seeing more and more people out there having more and more product. And 168th and Dodge, between Dodge and Blondo, is a spectacular location. But guys, no matter what your buyers tell you, because what we're seeing is they're getting beat out, 2 or 3 or 4 times. And we're seeing multiple offers we've heard of 32 multiple offers on a contract last week. And it's nothing to have 20, 22, 25 multiple offers. So new construction's out there. You need to look at it because we're having more and more buyers go to it. The builders I'm talking to on a daily basis, their number of customs, their pipeline is filling up. So it's an amazing opportunity out there, but you've got to go to for sale by owners. You've got to go to new construction. You've got to keep staying in contact with your clients throughout the process. But you're doing an unbelievable job. Let's get, if we could, Sarah and Heather on here, and then I want to run through an array of things that we've been talking about with you guys. It's amazing to me. We're still not seeing a lot of you in the office, more and more, but please get back in there. Again, we have all the managers back in there. We've got the majority of the staff in there. So Heather, you don't have your video on. I see Sarah. There we are. Now, yesterday, Heather was on a Zoom call and all we saw was her nose and glasses. So this is a little better. So you're on mute, Heather, but we're going to dive in here a little bit for you guys. So Heather, we've talked a lot about this situation in mastermind groups of low inventory and that really new construction has been the big winner.
Right.
And so can you expand on that a little bit? What we're hearing in the mastermind groups and why we're encouraging them to get out there and show new construction as an option. And so quite honestly, we're telling them also to go show for sale by owners because we're seeing that they're getting those houses cheaper than they're getting an existing home.
Like Vince says, we're seeing the new constructions be the biggest winner in this whole Corona thing because there's not a lot of existing houses out there for those buyers to buy. So he said it in a couple different masterminds. If you are working with any buyers under the 300,000 point range, I would consider taking them and registering them at the Richland models, at Celebrity, Legacy, Charleston, Regency, any of those models that may not pay you a commission if you don't take them in first, because as much as these people say they don't want those homes, they may be the only option they're going to have, and they're going to settle on something like that because that's what's going to be available for them. So make sure you protect yourself right now during these times and get them registered. Another thing right now agents are doing, I have a lot of you reaching out to me, getting a copy of the shitty letter that Amanda Sway had created. They're tweaking it a little bit for certain neighborhoods, for like certain types of houses, just looking for buyers or sellers in general. And then also I've got one lady that made it a little bit more analytical and kind of spoke about different stats for that neighborhood when she sent it out. So a couple options that people are trying to do to try to drum up some
Heather,
business.
why don't we send it to Krista because Gina's out this week. Maybe 2 or 3 of even the shitty letters, and we'll send those out to everyone, which is, and everyone who doesn't know, it's just a handwritten letter that's going out saying, I just sold a property or I'm looking for a buyer in this neighborhood and so forth. So, but yeah, we're going to continue to push you guys as much as we don't like for sale by owners, continue to show for sale by owners, get exclusive buyers agency agreements signed with your buyers, but get out there new construction. And the great thing you got with Terry having her deals in Village Point, starting at 215, and she's got the villas at 202nd and Blondo starting at 240. And then you've got also Josh and Ryan and Shelley Klemp here building, I think, 240 $40,000, $50,000 houses out in Bennington. So we've got a lot of options out there, but you need to get out there and show your clients those things so they don't just wander in those houses by themselves. Sarah, you sat through Debbie DeGroat for the second time, I think over a couple months now, has done a webinar for us. And Debbie, those of you who don't know, is a national coach. We've had her in a couple times, really just focused on, through coronavirus, how do you use this as an opportunity to grow your business? Can you walk through a couple of the top takeaways that Debbie went through this time, maybe that was different than the webinar she had with us a month or so ago?
Yep, so a key point, kind of to piggyback off of what Heather just said about analytics, know the data, know your market data is huge right now. She said stuff your pockets, continuing to have those meaningful conversations, probably 10 times more conversations with your past clients than ever before. The national data is indicating that after the 4th of July, the pent-up demand will come to fruition. So make sure that you're ready there. And then she did challenge everybody on the call to do a 10-10-10 daily challenge. So have 10 conversations, whether it's Zoom or face-to-face with somebody, 10 emails and 10 text messages. And so by the end of the year, you would have about 3,100 conversations with people, which would be significant in your business. She doesn't want anybody to waste the strong market. She did have a couple good ideas. Maybe do some Zoom first-time home buyer classes to educate your buyers on the current market, that they're up against multiple offers, shortage of inventory, just what to expect going in for first-time home buyers is very important. And then also developing that relationship with a lender, Prosperity Mortgage, with their low rates.
You know, and talking about that, we've talked about this, guys. You think that you've got control. I had yesterday a conversation with one of our agents that was very frustrating to him, and I totally understand it. He had showed a dozen houses to a $500,000 to $600,000 client. Now he's going to go list their house, but what did they do? We've got the spring parade going on here. His client was out over the weekend, went into a spring parade of homes, and lo and behold, they're buying a house directly from the builder, and he's getting cut out on a $500,000 plus deal. So you cannot, we talk about this, you cannot communicate too frequently, you know, with enough clarity with people. And part of that is setting expectations that, listen, if you go through an open house, tell them you're working with me. If you see a for sale by owner, get a hold of me. If you see something on Zillow, get a hold of me. If you drive by a sign, get a hold of me. We need to make sure that we do that. And the second thing that we do is on those for sale by owners is I've had agents that, you know, get a list sent to them, you know, a dozen houses by a client. And sometimes 6 or 7 of those are for sale by owners. In those cases, I think you need to go back to your client and get an exclusive buyer's agency agreement and say, listen, you're not going to pay anything. What we're going to do is I'll send these off to sellers before we show them. I'll have them sign a compensation agreement and make sure the seller's going to pay me. And most buyers will buy into that. We think that that's a really difficult roadblock in front of us and that they're not going to do that. But our experience has been, if you can present that in a calm manner, saying, listen, let me help you out. Let me do all the legwork. Let me help you in that process to make sure that you're getting a good deal and representing you in that situation. And the seller, quite honestly, for sale by owners, not going to have anybody representing them. That's a good situation, because we're not seeing for sale by owners get 15, 20 offers. They're getting 2 or 3 sometimes, but they're not getting the same offers that they had before. Heather, you had a for sale by owner situation personally that you were dealing with a week or 2 ago. Can you give us, I mean, this is really a prime example of exactly how this is working.
Right, I've got a family, I've sold a lot of them, all houses, and I went out to this house a couple years ago when they were considering selling it a while ago. And I had seen on Facebook they were trying for sell by owner, so I just messaged them, said, hey guys, I see you guys are selling your house. Good luck. I just want to let you know, if I get you put on the MLS, there's a good chance we can get you multiple offers, driving up your price with less contingencies for you to make your move easier. They tried doing it a couple days, got a lot of phone calls, got a little confused, gave me a chance and went in and listed. And I told them, I know you don't need me, but I could definitely make your lives easier. We got 12,000, I think, over list and no inspections. So it turned out really good for them, and they're super excited.
And they had a simpler, easy, stress-free transaction because you went in and took over things that they were flustered about and didn't know what they're doing, and you got them more, and you basically more than paid for yourself, because they're typically going to pay 2.5% to 3% on anyway to an agent bringing them a buyer. So can you talk about, guys, we were having no issues at all. No, an exaggeration, but not by much, till 2 or 3 weeks ago with appraisals. But we are hearing agent after agent tell us they're making offers of $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 above list price. And we're talking about $195,000, $220,000 houses. We heard of a $119,000 house going for $250,000 cash. But some of these deals, we are starting to see some appraisal issues. Heather, we've talked a lot about that in our mastermind groups. Could you kind of talk about the appraisal issues and a couple options that we're telling people, both in setting expectations with sellers and setting expectations with buyers, and these really under 325, 350 price range where we're seeing multiple offers on a regular basis for houses priced properly and in great condition?
So if you're working with sellers and you guys are getting $12,000, $15,000, $20,000 over list price, you got to make sure that they're aware that anything over list is actually just a bonus. So you have to kind of prepare them if by chance it doesn't appraise, that we may have to come down. On the side note, though, we think that if you are working with a seller and you get an offer from a buyer that's $20,000 over list price, that they put a little bit of skin in the game too, saying that they're willing to come to the closing with some cash if necessary if the house doesn't appraise. So, you know, we understand the houses are selling a lot higher, but make sure that you're protecting your people in both instances. Also, make sure you do your sellers a service by making sure that you create an appraiser packet, write a nice letter in there for them, leave the multiple offers showing them what drove the price up, leave, you know, as many comps that you can to justify your price. I spoke with Beth at Mitchell & Associates the other day. She told me they're actually going quite a ways outside of the area in order to try to find good comps for houses. So that may open up your options for finding comps when you're leaving those appraiser packets. And then lastly, any type of improvements that they've done to the house, create a list with that, what they've done and what they spent, and then leave it there for the appraisers when they go in. I know Andrea Lane said that she leaves a bottle of water and a thing of for them, just saying thank you very much. We know it's busy right now. So any way that we can suck up to the appraisers, I think is going to help your buyers and your sellers.
Yeah, but I do think you clearly have got a burden as a listing agent to get the package to them, showing all the multiple offers, all the upgrades, everything you can to help make their job easy to get that thing to appraise out. And so if any of you are struggling, an example of what Heather's talking about, you know, let's say we got a house listed for 200,000, sells for 220. You know, put a clause in there at the time of purchase agreement saying, listen, we got 12 offers in this house. If this thing appraises at 210, for argument's sake, you know, you're going to be willing to bring $5,000 to closing or anything above 210. Now, if it appraises under 210, we'll go back and renegotiate. But basically, you're agreeing to purchase this house. Whether it comes at 210, you're going to pay $5,000 above that, making 250. If it appraises at 214, you're going to pay 219. But basically, put a clause in there up front and get verification that they have cash above and beyond what they need to get their loan to do those things. So those are ways to protect sellers. On the opposite side of this, I think we need to set expectations with buyers that, listen, they had a dozen offers. We're hearing 19, 20, 22 offers. They had multiple offers. You know, you're not going to be able to come into this is an existing home. If you want new construction, go buy a new home. But this is an existing home. You know, you can't come in here and ask for a lot of things. And the truth is, many times, the offer we're seeing accepted is no inspection, right? And sometimes not even a warranty. Now that makes me nervous. You guys have heard me say a broken record, but please, 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 these people are struggling, especially under 300,000, to come up with cash to get in this house. Don't leave them unprotected with no inspection and no warranty. So we've been negotiating with both 210 and AHS. Our free seller coverage was expiring in October with them. We've got a verbal agreement with one, and we believe that we're real close, and we'll have both of those extended to the end of next year. And in both cases, they're saying we're going to continue to keep the free seller coverage, which we think is a huge advantage for you guys. But again, I would be going and putting a warranty on the backside for those buyers to make sure they're protected if that air conditioner or something major goes out afterwards. Sarah, can you pop in here and give me a couple more things that you heard on Debbie DeGroat's class that are things that agents can implement to help them be more productive in their business?
Yep, she said that it's a great time to update your CRM. There's still probably a few more weeks before the market really turns, so be sure to do that. Also have 3 to 5 key sources of lead generation, not just from your past clients. So make sure that you're doing that, and then also be following up with your calls 6 to 10 times. Continue the follow-up.
Yeah, we were actually on a manager's meeting talking about that yesterday, that you know, we do the same thing. If we're recruiting someone, you don't just call them once and drop it. You've got to have a follow-up system in everything that you do, guys. Heather,
Real
one thing
quick, we
that
had a question. Can we send out a list, Heather, of the builders that need registered? There was on the
I
chat.
don't know that there's actually a list. I mean, there's the ones that we know of for the most part, but I think that if you're working with any builder, you know, make sure you get something in writing to protect yourself, to make sure that they're going to compensate you, because a lot of times these people sneak into these builders and they tell them, you know, hey, if you don't use an agent, we're going to cut you out, you know, cut you a better deal. So, I mean, I can give you the basic list of the ones that for sure will cut you out. That's going to be your Celebrity, Legacy, Charleston, Regency. And then other than that, I think they just need to make sure that they're covering themselves.
Perfect.
With that being said, we do have, Maggie, I'm looking at you. We have on our website now a new construction page that has builder profiles, right? So guys, any of you that have a builder, please go there, see if that builder profile is right. Did I cut out here? Oh, she's showing the page. I didn't know what she was doing. Go to that page and see if your builder's profile is right. If you've got a builder that we do not have on there for any reason, please get a hold of Maggie as soon as possible and make sure that we get a profile for your builder on there. That are we putting into the subdivisions they're in, the price points they're in, and so forth. So with that being said, so we will try to, I guess, with this here, Christy, let's make sure that we send out the link so they can go to the page on our thing with the builder profiles. You guys, please help us update that as much as possible. And then we will also put out a list of the ones that you need to make sure that you get out there and register with, that we know of, okay? Heather, we've talked a lot about tons of escalation clauses in all these multiple offers. You had talked about, I think in a mastermind group this week or last week, they all run together to me, I apologize, about not even putting a cap on there. An agent was doing something interesting. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, so there was quite a few ideas. That was one of the topics we had in our mastermind, is how we can beat out on multiple offers. So one was offering a higher non-refundable deposit, earnest deposit. That would kind of get the buyer or the seller's attention. Be flexible and accommodating to the sellers on their closing conditions. The most interesting one was no cap on the maximum sales price, subject to the buyer's approval of final purchase price on a multiple offer addendum. So instead of putting a cap in there, you would just say subject to buyer's approval. That agent would come back and say the multiple offer addendum drove it up to $275. Are your buyers willing to do so? Put that in the counter, then send it off to have them sign it. Kind of a unique twist on things. So, I mean, at least the buyer would have the last say on the final price, but it was something that I've never heard of anyone trying before, and I thought it was something worth sharing. Another one was give the sellers additional days to get out of the house. Back in the day, they used to give them 2 or 3 days after closing to pack up and leave. So maybe bringing that back again. And then also writing letters with pictures. There's a lot of those winning right now. Tug at the heartstrings.
When we talk about lack of listings, it seems to me like we've had an overwhelming number of agents tell us that I've got a seller that's willing to sell, but they won't put it on the market because they're concerned that they don't know what they're going to buy or where they're going to move. And we've talked about a couple options there. Can you maybe touch on that a little bit?
So a lot of times we're having the sellers write subject to finding suitable housing, giving them 10 business days to find some suitable housing. That's another option that we can help our sellers get their houses on the market and hopefully find them something.
And Heather, and most buyers, if they know there's 12 other offers out there, they're willing to wait 7 to 10 days or business days to get that house, because especially they've been beat out on another house, so they really want the house. So that's not unreasonable. And what happens is we do find the emotions of the seller, which now becoming a buyer, they get in there and they're like, okay, now that they know their house is sold, they really do focus on finding a house. And the vast majority of the time, they will find the house, because when they get out there and they're living in a $225,000 house, and now they're looking at $350,000 houses, it's a much nicer house. And so they get emotionally attached to that process. So that's one idea.
And then another thing that PTEC just sent over is also paying the seller's closing costs. That's something that we've seen before in the multiple offer addendums, but paying the seller's closing costs may also get you an upper hand if the buyers have the cash. So
now when that happens, because we've had a number of our agents write that and the listing agent did not understand what was taking place there. So you really need to explain to the listing agent, we're not asking that, because they think that you have it backwards. They think that you mean that the seller's paying the buyer's closing costs, but you actually mean the buyer's going to pay the seller's closing costs, which helps on your appraisal issue, right? And it basically is a way to set you apart from other people.
Another thing this weekend, and it was an agent from another company, but they didn't understand the multiple offer addendums. So if you guys don't understand that they work against each other and drive up that price, talk to one of the managers and let us explain it to you properly, because you're doing your sellers a disservice if we can't get them the most money for that house. So, you know, this agent lost this seller probably $5,000 or $10,000 because they didn't understand that each offer drove the other price up. So it was eye-opening for them, but also for me, knowing that people don't understand that addendum quite so well.
And you really got to take the top thing. If someone says, I'm starting at 200 and I'm going to 215, well, 215 is their top number. Another guy could be starting at 195 and saying, I'll do 1,000 above, everything up to 218. Well, then that guy would be 1,000 above the 215, which would already put it at 216. So it's this ladder just going up there. So please reach out to us to make sure that we can help you with that process.
Right.
Couple more things that you would have, Sarah, that Debbie talked about.
I think I covered them all, Vince.
Anything now that you said in a couple mastermind groups, anything now the mastermind groups or things that you're hearing from agents that are helpful tips to help our agents be more productive?
They're really leaning towards video and social media. That's been a big thing. So, and Zooms are still, houses are selling through Zooms, which is surprising sight unseen. So
we did have Heather, a guest speaker from New York yesterday talking about video, and he really was focused on it. What was interesting to me, the big takeaway I took out of this, he said, I was all of a sudden going back because I was not doing a good job of staying in touch with my clients, which we know we unfortunately don't do a great job of. And I was seeing their houses selling. So he started utilizing video as a vehicle and just quick little short 30-second videos that can continue sending out to his database on a regular touch with them frequently. Tremendously, because while he may not be making calls as often as he should or doing client appreciation parties as often as he should, he's utilizing video as a vehicle to text out to them, to email out to them, to get out different messages on a regular basis. So video, guys, is absolutely positively important. We did talk to him about when you do a video, when you're posting on social media or doing a Facebook Live or something like that, do you need a title? Do you need a description? He said, absolutely you do, because we were not exactly sure, honestly, internally what we were doing with that. And so anything that you took out of that mastermind group yesterday with that guy on video that really was something that stuck out to you?
So he said he treats all of his customers the same. So he does a video and then he personalizes a letter that goes out to each agent or each customer. So he uses BombBomb to do his videos, and he has like a little bit of a library of about 25 for buyers, 25 for sellers. So he just personalizes a letter and kind of makes that more customizable to his clients. Another thing, he's like, video is key. Just do the video. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Also, people can handle bad video, but they cannot handle bad audio. So if by chance you're doing video, make sure that you have like a lapel mic or good sound and you're not outside with the wind blowing through it. People just don't care for the bad audio, so they'll shut you off and you'll lose them.
Now, what was he talking about? He was saying for like $30 that you could just hook something right in there that has, and he calls that
it was like a lapel mic. It was Lavalier. I don't know what it's called, but it's a lapel mic that you wire into your camera phone. He said, make sure your phone's at least an iPhone 10 or newer because the cameras are nicer on those. And then, just make sure that you're doing a good quality video when you're doing them.
So we'll send that out. Let's send that to Christy. And that was $30 just for that. And he says it makes all the difference in the world. And then if you're outside, you don't get all the wind breakage and it cuts that information out for you.
He actually had a whole list of equipment that I'll try and get off of his site. He said if I sent equipment to his messenger page, it would shoot back an automatic reply with all the equipment that he suggests, because he had a couple different options for agents that are taking videos as well.
Heather, it seems like we've talked about a million things in our mastermind groups. Is there anything else that really sticks out to you that are things that
the one thing that was a little bit on the hit and miss side with me yesterday was he's like, don't let somebody else do your social media. He's like, do you, because most people don't know you like you know you. I understand that because I think we've got a couple agents that do it really well. They're very niche on their Facebook pages. But then I also know some that pay really good promotional people that do their social media pages. But if it's not your personality, then don't post it. Make sure whatever you're posting on your social media pages, videos, whatever, it's you and not somebody else posting, something that wouldn't come from you or your heart.
Yeah, and he's saying any video you do, don't be one person on the video and then we talk to them live, be a different person. You always got to be your own personality. He says, to your point, the audio matters, but it doesn't matter what you look like. You got to get over that type of stuff.
Vince, we've had a couple questions One was
Yes.
about the media green room. Do we have a date as to when that will be complete?
So yes, this week, I guess we have to move the chairs out and then Maggie has all the equipment in. So by Friday, that'll be done.
Okay, and then the other one was, I'm hearing that buyers who are building new homes are having delays in supplies and materials due to COVID and back orders. How are we preparing that if there's a domino effect?
New construction, I would tell anybody that's getting new construction, and the bigger it gets, the more time you need to add to it. But I mean, new construction historically, we've always told people if they tell you it's going to be done in September, plan on October or November. But I think they need to build that in a little bit, and they need to be communicating. This comes back to communicating. The second that they know that they're not going to get in their house by a certain date, if they have their current house sold and they're trying to not go to an interim house or apartment or something like that, they need to be communicating with that buyer's agent and that buyer of their house as soon as possible. We do have, we talked yesterday, Heather, I want Sarah and Missy to come up with a video class. And so we will set up a video class in the next couple of weeks. We do know how important video is. Every time that we're in a mastermind group or sales meeting or anything like that, we get a raise of hands of who's utilizing video. Everybody knows they need to use video, but there's a million excuses not to do it. So we are going to continue to push this envelope for you guys. And that, Heather, you were going to say something?
I think Andrea Lane said that she would maybe help out too, because she had taken broadcasting as a major in college. So she can tell you things that you can take and tweak of yourself that will make your videos a little bit more appealing to the masses. So she would be a good one to bring in and maybe help teach those classes if we could offer that.
And I'm not drinking Jack. This is tea. I every now and then I get text messages saying, "Are you drinking bourbon or something on this call?" I'm like, "No, it's just black tea."
Hey, also, maybe we should let them know, if you guys are writing offers, maybe check with your lenders before you put a 30-day close in, because we're having a lot of issues with appraisals. So make sure you're talking to your lenders before writing offers and not putting people in compromising positions for a 30-day close when it can't happen.
Yeah, that is really, really important. And because the truth is, the larger banks, especially the Wells, the First, they're so inundated because they've sent out to their entire banking client list, refi. The appraisers, that's the easy pickings for them. And that a lot of their appraisers are going and just doing those refis, and they're not really doing our appraisals. So I totally agree with that. Please get on. And that is one of the nice things about Prosperity. Any conversation I've had with them, they're making sure that our transactions are a priority over the refis and that they're getting those done first. The other thing that I did find out in the last week in conversations is that if you've got something kind of outside of the metro area to an outskirt area, that the appraisers, because there's so many things from the pick at, are not picking those up, and those are taking longer. So if you get outside of the Omaha metro, to some of these smaller communities on the outskirts of that, please make sure you're getting hold of that lender, as Heather's saying, to make sure that those appraisals are getting done. New agent party, I did see we do have that down, so we will be getting a hold of you guys. We're going to break that up in segments. We're going to have that over here at Shannon's in my house, July 22nd and July 23rd, to try to minimize the group sizes. That'll be a group coming a certain period of time, then we'll have another group coming another time, then we'll do it back-to-back days. So we're excited about that. And I did see here, the next Supercar Saturday is July 11th, 8:30 to 10:30. So I'm going to, Sarah, start with you and then go to you, Heather. What's one parting thought to give the agents to help them continue to be productive and grow their business in these times?
I'm just going to use a quote by Eleanor Roosevelt that W to grow. Do one thing that scares you, which would be video for a lot of agents. So I think it's something that we challenge them to do.
Heather.
Right now we're having a lot of agents do the pop-bys. I mean, making sure that you stop and by, maybe not going in or knocking on the door, but texting them afterwards and just saying, thinking of you, and just dropping off something that makes them remember you and make sure that they know that you're caring about them right now during these times.
And guys, to me, it's the number one thing that I get scared about, and it's the roller coaster of real estate, is that when you get crazy busy, and most of you are really, really busy right now, is you stop prospecting. You stop blocking out time to make sure that you're reaching out to your database to stay in touch with them, which goes hand in hand with these pop-bys. No matter what you do, no matter how busy you are, stay focused to make sure that pipeline stays full on the second half of the year. The Fed, everybody has basically told us they're not going to move interest rates. Interest rates are going to continue for the balance of this year, and I really believe into next year, but especially the balance of this year if the election comes up and all the money that we've added to the debt and the deficit. they're not going to move interest. Interest rates are going to continue to be very competitive the balance of this year. So there's going to be a great opportunity, but make sure you're keeping your pipeline full 3-6 months out here. And the only way that happens is you communicating, getting on the phone, reaching out to them. I would suggest a number of the national calls that I've been on is people are not doing major client appreciation parties where they're having 200 people show up, but they're trying to figure out creative ways to do mini ones, right? How do I do one where I've got 10, 15, 20 people coming to an event? And that's internally what we're doing. We're probably not going to have a grill out with 400 or 500 people in the parking lot, but we're trying to figure out how do we start setting dates and start having some mini get-togethers, social being to get together.
We had an agent the other day, I think, to use the parking lot for what was a Kona ice truck or something like that, and invited her clients to some gathering at the parking lot. So, I mean, just different ways that don't have to be quite so close range, but, you know, making sure that they know that you're still wanting to reach out to them.
Guys, call your clients, stay in touch with them. Technology, the Zoom calls and other things as you move forward. Let's not forget about what we've learned through this whole process. And there's a very reasonable chance we're seeing spikes. I saw it last night, you know, the 4 largest states that are spiking: California, Florida, Texas, and Arizona, all really big states. Now, there's a really reasonable fear that sometime this fall or winter, we're going to have another spike and we may have additional shutdowns again. So let's learn from what we went through on this whole coronavirus thing. And let's utilize things to implement in our business long-term to help us be more effective and productive as we continue to move forward. So with that, guys, next sales meeting will be the Tuesday after 4th of July. It is going to be in the office. We're excited about that. If you're concerned about coming around and being around other people, we understand that you may not want to show up there. We will probably try to figure out how to do a Zoom component to that. But we also know, without a question of doubt, we're seeing it in our mastermind groups as I talk to other people around the country. When we get together, the energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm, the collaboration is just much higher. It's much more engaging. So we want to get us back together. We love seeing you in the office. We're going to continue to take precautions to wipe things down and make sure that we keep you safe. So stay healthy, stay focused, stay productive. Guys, have a wonderful week. You're killing it out there. So proud of you. Take care. Have a great day.